Just waiting on Jonathan Trusky from. All right, well, with your permission, we'll go ahead and start and call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Graham County Board of Supervisors meeting here on February 7th at 8 a.m. at the General Services Building. And we start our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll follow us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the first item on our agenda today, there was, just in case you're here for it, there was one item that's been pulled that's not on our agenda today. There was a rezone of a sand and gravel property off of Solomon Road that's not on the agenda today, but you're welcome to stay, and just in case you were here for that item. All right, so the first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting and the work sessions held January 18th.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second Supervisor Howard's motion.
All right, I'll make that approval unanimous. First up, we have our county engineer, Michael Bryce.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, got two items here which concern grant of right-of-way, or at least a quick claim, so that we can have right-of-way on Morris Lane, which is down in the area of the our Tinsley lot splits. And first one is from parcel 105-0331, and I don't know whether you want to do those separately or together, or
Separate.
Okay.
Separately.
All right. So that's the first request, that be willing to accept the right-of-way for that.
All right, thank you for bringing those to us. Any questions, or do I hear a motion to accept those quitclaim deeds?
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and move that we accept the right-of-way deed.
All right. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
All right, and this is for the first parcel, 105-01-031, is that correct?
Yes.
That's the motion, okay. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right, unless there's any further discussion, it's always good to gain right away where we need it. I'll make that unanimous.
Okay, the second item is a quick claim deed for property that is a portion of parcel 105-01-028. It's 25 feet for the same adjacent to the same lots on Tinsley Place.
All right, thank you. Any questions on this one, or I'll entertain a motion?
No, Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to accept the quitclaim deed on parcel 105-01-028 for the right-of-way of Morris Lane.
And I'll go ahead and second that motion, and I did have a question, Mr. Chairman, and that is, I noticed on the map that there's a 50-foot nearby, there's a 50-foot easement for utilities, and our easement's 25-foot. Is this for drainage, or what's the purpose of the easement?
It's 25 foot. Now, the 50 foot, where are you noticing that?
No, just on the map. It was not being deeded to us, but there is a utility.
There is a utility That's utility and access easement for
Right.
those parcels that are being developed in Tinsley
Okay.
Place. And so that's,
So
we're not taking responsibility for that.
Right. But for our right-of-way, 25 foot, is that just for access or what?
That's the half that particular property
Okay.
is, so that when it finishes, the total will be 50 feet
okay.
if we get it on the west side.
Very good.
Currently, we don't have it on the west
I was
side.
going to say, it's hard to do it much with 25 foot, so it's good to know that the other 25's coming, so.
Well, we've been maintaining the road forever without any, and so this gives us a little more control over that.
Very good. No other questions, Mr. Chairman?
All right, do we have first and second?
Yes.
All right, I'll make that unanimous. Thank you, Michael.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next up, County Manager Dustin Welker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This first item, I apologize for bringing you a ratification, but we had one of those months where we had 2 Mondays between a meeting, and if we had to wait for another start of a pay period, we've been without a director for another 3 weeks, and 3 to 4 months was enough already. So I apologize for bringing this as a ratification, but we'd like to present the approval of Trey Andrews as our Parks and Fairgrounds Director. Mr. Andrews comes to us with some good education and experience in running leagues and youth programs, and also with landscaping and such, and we're grateful that he put in for this position, and we've chosen him as our next director, and we'd hope that the board would ratify that action.
All right, thank you. I hear a motion.
Yes, I will make a motion to ratify the appointment of Trey Andrews as Parks Fairground Director. Like to say I've met the young man. I'm very excited about his appointment, and his resume was very impressive, and we're excited to have him on board, and so welcome, Trey.
And I'll second that motion.
All right, I'll make that unanimous and say welcome to the team. Glad to have you. All right.
Next item, Mr. Chairman, is a resolution 2022-01, drug-free workplace. This is a resolution that we first adopted in 1991, and we reaffirm it each year, and it's a resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Graham County relating to a drug-free workplace. And of course, Graham County is certainly a drug-free workplace, and we recommend you reaffirming this resolution for a drug-free workplace.
All right, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, I'll make that unanimous.
Similar to the previous, this is a resolution we've been reaffirming since 1977. A resolution of equal opportunity in the workplace, which again, Graham County is an equal opportunity employer, and we recommend reaffirming this resolution.
All right, these are resolutions we do every year and are probably required and certainly needed and worthwhile. So I hear a motion to
So moved.
approve. Okay.
And I'll second Supervisor Howard's motion, and just with the comment that resolutions are basically just a printed piece of paper, but more importantly, with the drug-free workplace and the EEO, equal opportunity, that we do more than just provide lip service, that I'm pleased that our human resources and our different department heads, that we actually follow what we follow up what we say we'll do with actual action, and I'm pleased with the diversity that we have, and grateful for the people who want to work with the county.
Thank you, Paul. And I'll make that unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, this last resolution, 2022-03, is one that you have not heard before. This is a resolution of Graham County, Arizona Board of Supervisors, abolishing the Graham County Justice of the Peace, Precinct Number 2, and redrawing the Graham County Justice of the Peace, Precinct Number 1, precinct boundaries. With your permission, Mr. Chair, I'd like to present a PowerPoint that was presented in the last work session to discuss the reasoning and research behind this recommendation to the board. Justices of the peace by county, you can see up here on the presentation. Graham County has two, one in Pima, of course, and one over in Safford in the Graham County courthouse. Other counties of similar size, of course, Gila County has two. Santa Cruz has one. On here it says La Paz has three. As of 2 weeks ago, they consolidated their three down to one. And then as you can see on the graph, so on and so forth. There's basically two reasons why a county would have more than one justice of the peace. One being geography, just the distance from one justice of the peace to another for the residents, a convenience. And the other one is, by Arizona state statute, any one justice of the peace cannot have more than 1,200 credits. And credits are a formula based on caseload. Different cases accumulate to credits, and that's how they're measured and how busy these courts are, their caseload. The average credits by county, right now, Graham County averages 161 between the two courts. So we have 101 credits were performed last year at the Pima Court. 223 were at the Safford Court. So on average, 161. If we consolidated those two courts, they would perform 323, 324 credits for that year. And you can kind of see how that matches up to other counties as far as an average. Rate per credit. So this is how a lot of people look at the justices of the peace in terms of efficiency. So that's what we're basically paying for one credit. So standalone with these two separate justices of the peace, we're paying about $532 per credit. If we consolidated those, we would see the efficiencies, and it would bring us down to about $301 per credit, which puts us in a much more efficient range, not as efficient as maybe the bigger counties like Maricopa, Coconino, Yavapai. Around 200 credits is what I would consider the most efficient court running, and of course, it's all economies of scale, and the more you can do in one court, the better. We also took a lot of look and research in what other JPs are using in terms of staff. Right now we have 5 full-time equivalent staff at JP1, our Safford Court, which is 4 full-time and 2 part-time employees to give us 5 full-time equivalent. At the Pima Court, we have 2.5 approved positions, though we have had a very difficult time recruiting and retaining a part-time position. We've had 2 there for a while. If we were to consolidate these and retain all our employees, we'd have 7 employees for 1 court staff. So you can see in this graph, justices of the peace throughout the state of Arizona that are in that range, that similar size, from 200 to about 400. Most of those staff are around 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. There's some anomalies in there, but for the most part, a justice of the peace doing around 300 to 400 credits would have a staff of 5 to 8, and if we consolidated and kept all 7 employees, would be right in that range. So the proposal that we have for the board today is to consolidate JP1 and JP2 to 1 justice of the peace to be housed in the courthouse. The courthouse over in Pima, where our JP2 currently resides, we do not own that facility. It is owned by the town of Pima. We do not pay a lease on that property, so there is no cost there, but of course we do have utilities, maintenance, and everything that goes along with maintaining a facility. The town of Pima is aware that this is under consideration, and speaking with their town manager, I won't speak for their council because I'm not sure the feelings of their 5-member council, but their town manager did express an interest in recovering that building and using it for town of Pima operations. If this consolidation would occur, it would be effective on January 1st, 2023. Per state statute, the consolidation of courts can only happen at the end of a 4-year term of a justice of the peace, which would be at the end of 2022. And again, we're considering at this time, prior to nomination papers being given out to the public, which Hannah to this time has not given any nomination papers out. Looking for a head bob there, Hannah. Okay, that is still accurate. So that is why we're asking to consider it at this time. So as we've looked at this proposal, of course, there's many advantages and challenges. But I will say, speaking with other counties, as they've consolidated, we do have an advantageous situation in Graham County as our courts are only 8 miles apart. So we're certainly not against the 1,200 credit limit as state requires, that we can't go above that. So the reason that we would have 2 courts would be geography. But again, 8 miles apart isn't really, in our assessment and opinion, a geographical reason to have 2 different justices of the peace. Counties like La Paz that have recently consolidated, their courts were over an hour drive apart from one another. So the consolidation of a court 8 miles apart is in our assessment a reasonable consideration. Some challenges: we do have limited office space over at the courthouse, though we do believe we can fit 2 other employees there reasonably. Combining 2 staff with different operating procedures can be a challenge, and we would have to work through that. There would be a longer distance travel for residents west of Central. So Central is kind of the central location from one court to the other. There would be a larger workload for the justice of the peace, but again, at around 300 to 350 credits, that's certainly a normal load for many of the justice of the peace throughout the state. And as we've met with the different court staff, one thing that has come to light is there would be an increased cost for a pro temp judge to cover conflicts and time off. Right now, Judge Palmer and Judge Griffith work very well together in covering for each other when they have time off for vacation or any conflicts. Though we also do have a pro temp on contract that covers for both of them when they're not able to cover for each other. And that pro temp does, of course, cost the county some funds. I think currently we pay about $1,500 a year for that pro temp judge, and we would expect that to increase. Some of the advantages as we go through here: recruiting and retaining employees at Justice of the Peace 2 has been a big challenge, whether it's because it's out in Pima, the workload, the atmosphere. It's hard to say. I won't pin it on any of those, other than it's just been difficult having good continuity over at that site. We've had much more success in Justice of the Peace 1 at the Safford Courthouse. They have, I would commend Judge Griffith and Anna Elders, who I see is also here, our judicial assistant. They have a very good staff over there with very good procedures, and it's a very good court. Not to say JP2 isn't, just we have a lot of confidence in consolidating those to the Safford Courthouse. As you look at the population right now for the Justice of the Peace 2 district, there's actually a larger population that travels to Pima that would, in fact, be closer to JP1 through this consolidation. So it would be more accommodating for a larger percentage of the population. There are definitely, as we've spoken with different court staff, there are some efficiencies that may not show up in dollar signs. Just having all of those justice of the peace services in one area, sending staff to travel down to that courthouse, whether it's maintenance or attorneys, other court staff, we would eliminate that travel and that time that's spent down there in that other courthouse. There would be an approximate savings of $120,000 per year, and that's everything from the judge's salary down to cell phones and utilities. And I want to thank Julie Rodriguez. She has counted every penny that we can possibly count and look at as we've looked at this proposal. As you know, each justice court has its own revenues that are a special revenue source. Justice of the Peace 2 averages $20,000 to $20,000 per year in revenue, and we've invested a lot of that money in the Pima Courthouse, which we don't own, so it would be advantageous to be able to invest that $25,000 in our own courthouse space. I already mentioned the traveling and the maintenance, and again, this proposal, there would be no layoffs proposed through this. We'd keep all our current staff. I do want to mention, as we've looked at this, the elected officials retirement plan. It's a plan that is rather expensive, so eliminating justice of the peace judge would give us a little more certainty and savings going forward. There is another proposal before the legislation right now to increase the Superior Court salaries and the Justice of the Peace salaries again, and it's pretty significant. When those salaries are increased, the retirement is heavily increased too. I believe the percentage we pay for retirement is 63%, Julie? 74 next year. And 74 next year, so the elected official retirement plans continue to go up. So just what that means is if an elected official is paid $100,000, we pay $74,000 extra into that retirement system to fund it. So it's a significant cost. And lastly, security. We do not have security personnel at the Pima Court, though it has certainly been a topic of conversation and budget throughout the years. So moving that Justice of the Peace to the courthouse would give us a more secure facility and eliminate those discussions in the future of having another security staff at our Pima Court. So that is the end of my presentation, Mr. Chairman, and again, we recommend this action largely for cost savings and the efficiencies of staff. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
I'd just like to say that I know there's been a lot of work gone into this, and the benefits that I've seen, the efficiency of the court would greatly be increased. The traveling time of our attorneys and probation and the folks going down to Pima would be eliminated. We'd have everything in one spot. I did take the time and I went over and toured the JP 1 courtroom the other day. It is a little crowded, but I think it can be done. I like the idea that we won't lose any employees. There's always a challenge of intermixing employees, and it can be also done. I just think that the travel time with the citizens also, like Dustin mentioned, a lot of them are closer to JP1 anyway. Of course, we have our Fort Thomas, Klondike, Pima residents down there, but most of them coming this way on a daily basis. So I just see this as a win-win for us to move forward with it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just a couple comments. One is thank you for the presentation. even though we've got some funding from the America Rescue Plan and our general fund is healthier than it's been in a long time, we still have some significant challenges that most people aren't aware of as they see three people making a decision that's going to impact a couple of judges and their staff. One is that last year the legislature enacted law to reduce the commercial property tax rate from 18 to 16%, and there's a little legislation which likely will pass that'll lower that to 15%, and that exceeds, the loss of revenue exceeds $120,000 a year significantly. We've got a $750,000 communication equipment upgrade because our Motorola communication system for the officers is must be, they no longer support that, it must be replaced. So we've got that. We continue to pay down our public service retirement plan to the tune of $600,000 a year, which is a stressor on our budget. And the cost of proprietary software and hardware just continues to go up every year. We buy something like at the jail, we buy a system for security, and then we are married to those people, and then after the initial honeymoon, then they raise the rates, whatever the market will bear. Whatever the Attorney General won't sue them for antitrust actions. Also inflationary pressures and building utility costs. And so I have looked at this. I approve highly and appreciate all the work that Judge Griffith has done. And hate to, there's rumors that the two judges, we know that in 2 years the election's up, and there may be two judges who are running for one seat, and I hate to put Judge Griffith in that kind of jeopardy, but that's something that the voters would decide, something I have no ability to protect anyone from, just as my own seat will I have no promises or protection. But anyway, those are some of the things that I've been weighing, and it sounds kind of cold and clinical to just use money as the justification, but those are some of our fiscal realities, and so I would and I appreciate the teamwork and adding in the event that this passes, adding new personalities in to an existing system, office space, and those dynamics. Those are hard things, and but we have those kinds of changes. That's just part of the climate that we live in. We have to adapt and be resilient. So I would make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we go ahead and approve the resolution and to consolidate those two courts.
All right.
Do you have anything to say? I'll make a second on
Yeah,
that.
as soon as we...
I'll make a second.
Yep, thank you. All right, thank you. Since I've been on the board for 10 years, just anecdotally, it has been said that we should or could consolidate JP1 and JP2, but no one's ever done a analysis on the topic or asked anyone whether at JP1 or JP2 whether we should, and I'm glad that we do address things. There's one other county in that list that has JP courts a few miles apart, and is also, that county is in dire straits, but just kind of refuses to deal with it. I think JP2 and the distance is just held over from days where it was a larger geographical distance. I mean, you don't spend half the day coming over from Pima or Fort Thomas anymore to go to court. There's a 5-lane highway between us, and it's just not that far away. So I hate that it's disruptive. I like that it will save us at least 120, and possibly more, probably a couple $100,000 each year. And for that reason, I'll support it. So we have a first and a second, and so I'll make that unanimous. All right, our next item on the agenda is a moment for board members, county manager to present a brief summary of current events, meetings and such that we have attended. Supervisor Howard, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I'll be brief. On the 18th, I attended the Forest Service update here in the GSA building, service building. And then on the 19th and 20th, I had the pleasure to go to Phoenix to the small counties and eco meeting. I got to sit in on the eco meeting. And then on the 20th, like I said, the medium and county board meeting, anyway, in Phoenix. And then 24th, Town Council, Thatcher Town Council, I attend them on a regular basis. 28th, the Substance Abuse Board meeting. And on Friday, the 28th, also, I had the pleasure to, me and my wife, to donate a dinner to the EMS service out at the airport, and it was a really neat dinner that night to see all the emergency people out there and pilots, and to be able to accommodate them and listen to their stories and their award ceremony. It was a great honor to be out there. And then on the 1st of February, another substance abuse meeting, and the Gila Valley Irrigation District meeting, and the Pima Town Council meeting, all on the 1st. And then on the 3rd of February, I attended the EMS meeting here in the General Services Building. That's the end of my part.
All right, thank you. Supervisor David.
Thank you. Just as Supervisor Howard, I attended a Eastern Counties Organization board meeting in the Phoenix area prior to a small counties forum and the County Supervisors Association board meeting the next day. The board meeting for Eastern Counties focused on forest restoration and funding, which and the Forest Service has kind of done an about face, and so it looks like we'll, especially in the northern counties and northeastern Arizona, there'll be some significant thinning and hopefully fireproofing, or at least mitigating the high density, temperature fires. The next day, on Friday, I went to there was a National Association of Counties monthly call, and this is I didn't make this name up. There was a Cuddle Butts ribbon cutting there on Central Avenue. They're a new business that has the gym wear and leggings and things, and it's nice to see our little downtown area growing. The Safford City Council meeting, Monday the 24th. The Rural Transportation Advisory Council, there was a Zoom meeting, and then I testified on the 2nd in front of the Transportation Committee for the Arizona House of Representatives, and trying to get a $50 million bill, which would allocate about $5 million to each of the rural, what they call the councils of government, like SEGO is ours, and that would include Tally Warsh, a box culvert over Tally Warsh, if that's successful. It passed 11-1 out of that committee, and now we have to go to appropriations. Other than that, I've been to legislative policy committee meetings remotely, along with the board, listening to what the legislature's proposing. There was a Graham County Historical Society annual meeting honoring Gene Robert Larson, who has served 40 years for the county. Supervisor and Chairman Smith did a presentation of the downtown historic district and the theater. Excellent, really excellent. Catch him sometime when he has an hour, and he'll show it to you when he has a spare hour. And then finally, the this last Saturday, I was surprised, but at the last minute, there in the Copper Canyon, they have someone's bought 2 homes and turned them into care facilities, 5-patient nursing care facilities, and so it's kind of a stealth nursing home. Well, it's not a nursing home; it's a care. It's a home with nursing care, and so those have been added to our county and creates capacity. And I was really pleasantly surprised to see that kind of infill and that kind of needs being met. And that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Supervisor, or County Manager Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just report on a few things. Our Gila River fire mitigation, we've been working to secure all those grants for our next round. As you know, we've put 8 fire breaks in the Gila River to date, and we're looking at doing 7 more to complete that project. Unfortunately, the grants were a little more difficult this time to receive, but we were able to, between 2 different grants from state forestry, receive enough money to carry that project on. Our original plan was to try to accomplish that in the spring. Unfortunately, we have to be out of the river by April 15th, so we're not going to have time to get our mastication equipment in there and get that done. So we will be pushing that to the fall, but in the meantime, we will continue spraying those 8 sites and keeping the salt cedar down, and hopefully once the salt cedar bug wakes up again, it'll help us out there too. And we're just excited and anticipating finishing up this grant and then maintaining those fire breaks into the futures. It's been a great plan. If Bill Brandow were here, we'd all clap for him. He's done a fantastic job, continues to work very hard on this project, and it's a very big deal for him too. I had the opportunity to attend our annual health trust meeting, which was the week of January 24th. Of course, benefits are in a little bit of a strange and different place with COVID-19 for the last couple years. We continue to be in this trust with Greenlee County, Apache County, Santa Cruz, Gila, and La Paz. And this has been a great trust for the county. This was a great move, 20 plus years ago when we made this move. Our insurance rates, when I look at the other communities in this area, other agencies, our costs are significantly lower, and I believe our benefits are better. So we are very happy with this trust. They did make the big move over to Gallagher, which is a nationwide, maybe worldwide company, but we have not seen a lot of changes, which is a very good thing. We've been able to maintain 0 increases for the last 2 years, and have been able to hold those at bay. Unfortunately, Supervisor David, you mentioned inflation earlier. That is certainly, we're already seeing it in the doctor's offices. The charges are bigger. We have Blue Cross Blue Shield on our side to, kind of keep those at bay the best they can. But we are looking at a 6% increase in our insurance premiums going into this year. So that will be in the budget and discussions as we move forward. Still better than what some people are seeing, 10, 15, up to 20% increases. Not just because of inflation, but also because of what COVID-19 has done to the plans. And health insurance is like any other insurance. You use it too much and it just goes up. So that's what we're up against going forward. And lastly, as the board knows, we were able to get our ACA broadband grant in by the January 31st deadline, which would potentially service Bryce Eden and Fort Thomas. The goal of that grant was to service areas that otherwise the market would not be able to service. And we're crossing our fingers and very hopeful that we're able to get that grant. There were several grants throughout the state that were put in, and we're hopeful to see where that goes. And that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. The next item on our agenda is the need to approve the demands and handwritten warrants.
I'll make a motion that we pay our bills.
I'll second it.
All right, I'll make that unanimous. So at this time, we have a public hearing for a road name request. The applicant is Robert Barney. The request is to name a private easement, and the proposed road name is Shepherd Lane. And we have Stephen Goy from our Planning and Zoning Director.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to facilitate a hearing for a private driveway road name request for Robert and Darcy Barney. We require this when they want to put a third residence on the driveway, which is the situation. Darcy and her sister both live on this driveway at the current time, and they intend to build a home for their mother there in the middle between them, and so we need to name it. They have selected Shepherd Lane for their on their request, and we'd like to facilitate that.
All right, any questions for Mr. McGoy? Or any comments or any motion? Or is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item or is signed in to speak on this item? I don't see anyone.
Incidentally, we got no correspondence in relation to this.
Okay.
And it doesn't serve anyone but that family.
I make a motion to approve the request of the proposed road name is Shepherd Lane.
And I'll second Supervisor Howard's motion.
All right, now I'll make that unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have some bids to open. That was different. Okay, we received, looks like 2 bids for bid number 21/22-14, which is to replace the lighting on Field 1 out at the fairgrounds.
Just while you're opening that, Mr. Chairman, last year we were able to do this project on Field 2, not just replace the old halogen light bulbs that are very inefficient and probably operating at 40 to 50% brightness, and that might be generous. But another thing that we ran up against was the electric was all direct buried back 30, 40 years ago when they were put in. So Jim Gutierrez and his crew in the last couple months have put in conduit from our electric panel room and ran conduit to every single pole, so that this project will be running wire through that conduit, up the poles, and replacing these halogen lights with a much more efficient and brighter LED light.
All right, thank you. Yes, much more efficient. These LED lights are more like cents or a few dollars per hour. All right, for this bid, we have, the first bid I opened is from H&H Contracting. They have spelled out option 1 with a total of $38,753.46. And they've given us option 2, $35,985.96. Now, did we ask for options?
So the way the bid was written, Mr. Chairman, we spec'd out a light that we wanted them to bid on, but we also put in there that we would consider alternatives if approved by the county, if they prove that they were equal or better than the lights we spec'd out.
All right, and this is from Advanced Air Systems for the same bid with the total cost of $48,533. And I just see that they just give us one option. All right. do I hear a motion regarding that?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go ahead and forward those bids to staff to review for compliance and completeness, and then have them award to the lowest responsible bidder.
Great. All right, I'll second that.
And I'll second that.
All right, you'll second it, and I'll make it unanimous then. All right, thanks. Next, okay, we just received one bid only for a new generator, 60 kilowatt generator, industrial generator for the health department, and we have received that bid from Advanced Air Systems, and total for this bid is $42,253.00.
Mr. Chairman, I make a move to turn this over to staff for conformity and award to the lowest bidder.
And I'll second that motion.
All right, I'll make that unanimous. All right, we have a chance for call to the public on the agenda. I have several people signed in, and if I don't understand whether you want to speak or not, let me know. I have one here, Ralph Score. It says you would like to speak. You're welcome. Yeah, get right up here, and you can give us your address for the record. And we have a 3-minute speaking limit. We don't have a whole lot of, I'm not anticipating a whole lot of people speaking today, but
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. My name is Ralph Score, and this is my wife, Jen Barney Score. We own property at 3801 and 3809 East Solomon Road, currently reside in Cochise, Arizona. This is just regarding actually an agenda item that was pulled, the rezoning item. We understand that decisions by the Planning and Zoning Commission are recommendations and not necessarily final resolutions. I have some paperwork I would just like to submit in support of. It's REZ 845-21 that you may be discussing in your work session today. These just support the initial decision from the board, and my wife has a letter she'd like to read and submit as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Board. Thank you for your service. I know this decision will not be made today, but I'm a teacher, and I took the day off, and I might not be able to do that again. So I wanted to, and I know this is going to come up again, and so I wanted to take the time today. The decision was made to deny it, but the owner is actually going to reapply for a different area. He's going to reduce it, and so so my words to you today are applicable. So first of all, I just inherited the property. The very day that they had the hearing, I had just inherited the property, so it was really difficult to learn that they were possibly going to change my beautiful farmland into mining. I was rather in tears and not composed. Today, I'm much better. So one of the commissioners voted for the rezoning because the property was already to the south was already being mined, but that area is behind the hill, behind the canal, not visible from the street. So when you look at that decision that you're making and you look at these pictures, it is a vast difference to have something behind a hill, behind a house, rather than where you got your big picture windows. Number two, the processing storage is greatly going to diminish the beautiful peace and tranquility that's enjoyed not only by myself, but it will also diminish the property value of my property by putting mining right next to it. And number two, they voted in favor. Those that voted in favor, they said there's only 3 people that's being affected, so no big deal, right? Just 3 people. I'm one of those 3. I think I'm important. I had no say when they put the mine in across the valley. I had no say when they took the rocks from across the thing, but this time I do have a say, and I am a person. And it does affect me. It made me cry. It does affect me, and it affects those people that are walking and running and bicycling in that area. They go there because it's beautiful. It is beautiful. And so that's important, to keep that beautiful place. We have so few that are, we don't want to turn into Mesa. This is the Gila Valley. A suggestion was made that they change the zoning to be just down by the area, and I have in this letter more specifics about what I would agree to. I think that's a good idea. I'm willing to compromise because I realize it's for the good of the county. Making costs cheaper for people who are doing construction in the county is a good thing. And by moving that operation all the way down by the San Simon, which they are going to propose to you, I agree with that would be a good deal. In future consideration, the company that owns it now, the Tri-City, they are a reliable company. They are responsible, and I know there was some concern at the mining of the dust. That was an entirely different company, which I think you guys have been on top of, and I want to thank you for shutting them down, because they were causing some health issues for the residents at the Safford Mobile. And I believe that I speak for them, that you consider their health, because it is very concerning to them. So when you're considering these things, please consider their things. And another consideration is, as little as possible land, would you please just rezone as little as possible for Mr. Vasquez to continue his operation and keep the rest in farming. I've spoken to multiple farmers, including the Irrigation Commission and other people, that say our farmland is diminishing, and that's not a good thing. We kind of do provide a lot of oxygen and a lot of things, and we don't want to go to an industrial area. It's bad enough that they're taking our mountain. Please don't let them take our farmland. And that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. You can leave, just leave what you have there with Hannah. All right. Louis Wallace, you here? Yeah, welcome.
I'm Louis Wallace. I live at 952 West Ocatilla Street up in Thunderbird. I'm here requesting the county, one, to start getting that area cleaned up, but do something getting more law enforcement out there. This weekend I've replaced my front door lock twice because someone's trying to get into my house. You call the sheriff, it takes them over an hour to get out there. Why? One sheriff, I call the sheriff, he says, he'd love to put more cops out there. He doesn't have the funding for it. We need to fund him to where we can get more sheriffs. The Blythe, Supervisor Paul was out there this weekend. He saw just one house right next door to me where they got clothes piled 3 feet high in their yard, plus all kinds of other garbage out there. This place is unhealthy, unsafe for people out there. There's good taxpayers like me out there that want to clean it up, but nobody wants to step up anymore, because every time they do, even calling law enforcement, nothing gets done. So we'd like you guys as county to do something, getting drainage out there, getting speed bumps put out there, whatever out there to control the speed, but getting the cops out there to do the job. There's meth dealers out there galore. I can take you to 6 houses out there that are meth dealers. Okay, Sheriff's Department's thing, go buy it, give it to us, and we'll go, then we have a case to start building against them. I'm not gonna go buy drugs for the cops to do their jobs. So I'd like the county, and all of us out there would like the county to step up, get that area cleaned up. With high enforcement, these people tend to go away. We need a higher enforcement, and enforcement's proven. Even on roads, you put people speeding out here, you put just a cop sitting there doing his paperwork, people see it, they tend to slow down. It's the same thing with everything else in life. And I'd like the county to recommend getting more help out there for us. We want the area clean. We're tired of the drugs. We're tired of everything out there. So that's my piece.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Your concerns are important, and just like the scores probably realize, this will feel like a one-way conversation because it's during call to the public, and we don't get to respond or go back and forth, but we appreciate your concerns. Thank you.
I appreciate Supervisor Paul coming out to my house and actually taking his time to step out there to see what's going on. I don't know if he drove around the whole area out there, but that whole area is just gone, and people don't give up. My property value when I bought it was $30,000 4 years ago. It's down to $24,000. So I'm losing money. So it's just something that we would like done out there. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Bob Shaw. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning. Anyway, appreciate the time. Try to make it real fast. It's a little timely over 3 months, but it's been a nightmare. And I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings because you people are local. I love the area. We moved here in May from Prescott after many, many years up north. I've lived over the country and all other places. And we really, really liked it after we got acclimated to the heat. The heat, we came in right at 119 almost. But I said, you know what, this place, we had no idea, didn't look on the map, didn't know. I just looked on the internet and I found a house and it's sort of a fixer, but it has some grand stuff to it. And it's got a big lot at the end of a cul-de-sac in West Ridge Estates in Thatcher, just bordering off Robinson Ranch Road. Well, we're starting to really enjoy this place, and it was a neighborhood, and the people across had a baby, and everyone was so friendly. I've been I don't want to get into religion, but I've been a really non-religious guy for a lot of years since I converted in the temple in St. George, Utah, 47 years ago. And I hadn't been to the church in 20 years. And I started going as soon as I moved in here, and it was just, and I get original, just feel good. It felt good. The people were like beatific. They were so good. They were so unconditionally loving that it was shocking. And that goes with a lot of religions, not just that. It's just people. But the people here are nice. Do you go in the parking lot? Do you have a guy that looks like he's 7 foot tall and he looks like he wants to kill somebody? He gets in a truck and he says, "How are you today?" It's a whole different trip. It's amazing, I'm telling you. Here's the nightmare. I'm going to have to tell you this, and I'm going to be honest with you, and you're not going to believe me because you're locals. And I'm not, and that's part of the reason. Part of the reason is I also can't get rid of my accent after 50 years out west. I lived in every Rocky Mountain state. I've lived with old West Virginia coal miners, so I know the whole deal and everything else. I got a judge here that fabricated a case, Judge Ragland. I didn't know him. We were living in our house, and it backs up to another house. They're like half-acre lots surrounded by these 5-foot common walls. Beautiful. Anyway, so there was a vacant house next to us when we moved in. And a realtor named George Matisse, who's probably local, probably sold some of your homes, had the listing on that home on the corner of Robinson Ranch Road and West 13th Street. And he had it for a while. He started showing property to a minor, a young guy named 26 years old, built like Paul Bunyan. I'm 76. I've got a torn rotator cuff, a torn meniscus, and not much that type of energy left in the tank anymore if I ever did, but I can still get around pretty good. The thing is, they moved in. Matisse sold him the home, and he knew what the guy wanted. The guy was from Duncan. They're famous for building smokestack trucks, the ones that blow the plume and the fumes and the diesel in the air, and they use them for all sorts of things. It's a family tradition. the Hilly family, if I may mention it, because it's a legal proceeding. And that's the neighbor with his girlfriend. So they moved down in there and didn't know anything about him, never saw him, except I saw him walking one day out the window riding his lawnmower, his power mower, old one. And he was massive, the guy was massive. But they're great minders, it's a great noble profession, I have a lot of respect for it. This guy's not noble, he's a predator and a bully. He's almost a natural born killer. He's got an instinct, he's got buddies that like him, he has friends, unfortunately. Part of the problem is on the sheriff's department for long term. And they treat him like a firewall. They keep him out of trouble. He's running an illegal auto business. It's wall-to-wall trucks through this whole lot he's got. And now he sort of calmed down on the work, but he was venting the cars right next to our windows, killing our entire environment, our health, our peace of mind, intentionally doing so. He bulldozed this thing right next to our house while I was at Hayes Hardware right here in Safford one week when they were open, the early hours. My girlfriend calls me, he had just got done with a 10-minute violent attack through the windows with plumes of smoke that choked her. She almost passed out. And she lost her equilibrium before she could even realize to shut the windows. And she finally did that and went outside and talked to the guy, and he just gave her a feral look like he wanted to kill her. And he said to her, I'm running an auto shop here. That's what he said. He said, I'm not going to. He took a residential lot. I couldn't believe it. And so I came home, and who thought that I was being a fool by going alone over there to be used against me later? How dumb is that without a witness? And I went over there peacefully, and I was trying to diffuse the situation. I didn't have much choice on that. I was alone, I was unarmed, I didn't have any arms, I don't even have any now. And I don't mean in here, I mean in general. And the bottom line being, I just said, look, that's a really a dangerous thing to do to somebody. You hurt Diane, that's my girlfriend, 66 years old, wonderful person. And she was like in horror when she called. She could hardly breathe, her chest was hurting, her eyes were watering and bloodshot. She was almost asphyxiated to death. And this guy, you could tell with his attitude, he didn't care if he killed her and if she died, he was gonna get out. He's got cop friends. This would have been a mistake, an accident, had been written off, and no one would have even sneezed. But the bottom line is I went over there and I said, look, I said, you hurt my girlfriend? I said, what is that? Why would you do that? What is the thing? He says, he said the same thing to me. I'm running an auto shop here. I said, well, you know, the zoning here allows for single-family residences. In fact, Westridge Estates was built by some beautiful people because they actually did CC&Rs way back there at the turn of this century. And it said first-class homes, no businesses, kids, families. That's what they wanted. They wanted to create these cul-de-sacs with family living. So like the neighborhood, it reminded me of what I was born in Brooklyn. I've been out, I moved from Brooklyn to 500 acres and 700 acres in Maine, 30 degrees below, 8 feet of snow. We burned down. But I lived in every type of environment throughout, you know. So the judge, I guess, thought we were snobbish and didn't really know anything except the upper crust northern Arizona environment. Well, I've been all over, and I've seen all over, and I've met all sorts of people. My favorite people are people, not elites. I mean, I'm country all the way. I may be born in the city, but I got out as fast as I could. Yeah. So what I'm trying to, yes, sir.
Yep, Mr. Shaw, thank you. I feel like you have a request.
Yes, I do.
Yep.
Do you want me to go ahead with that?
Sure, if you like,
Okay.
and then.
Here's the problem. What happened is this. I told them that I could not accept an auto. They were going to ruin our property values and everything we did to move down here and put this money, our life savings, into this home, which needs work. And he was bringing an auto shop here, which was totally out of line. The realtor took 2 commissions to sell him that home. He had the listing on the property and the listing from the buyer. He got double commissions to leave a mess. Yeah. So he left a mess for us. we had to go to the P&Z the next morning. I didn't shoot anybody. What they said in here, and I got it. So they came in a month later. I get a very nice gentleman in an official law enforcement uniform. I don't believe he's a sheriff, more like a marshal, I guess. And he handed me an order of protection against harassment. This guy brought that made 2, the last one about a week before this paper, on our house. 2, run like, I own your property, I own this whole place, don't get in my way. I will wipe you out. That's his attitude. I get an order of protection against harassment from this guy because I went to planning and zoning the very next morning. I didn't shoot this guy. You know what he said here? Said they said to you, well, gee, do you guys want to get shot? This is what I supposedly said to him. The stupidest thing I ever heard because, and Judge Ragland took this, breathed life into it, and has perpetuated it in order, and this is going to really sound crazy, to exterminate me. It says right there he put a target on my back. I have now been published saying, oh, they were a nuisance when he wasn't doing that. Then he said, this is how neighbors get shot. That's what I said. This is how neighbors get shot. And would you guys like to get shot? The stupidest thing I ever heard. I wouldn't even talk like that. If they were going to get shot, you would have gone over and shot them. Why would you tell them you're going to shoot somebody that almost killed your girlfriend? You would shoot them. Instead, I did everything legally. I went the next morning to see Brent Finch over at Blake Flinch at Public Zoning the very next morning, the business day. That was a Sunday. I went to Monday. And I filed the complaint, and I have it here.
Mr. Shaw?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, I feel like one of the places that we could interact, or you could interact, maybe with our planning and zoning department, if you haven't already.
They did. This guy has got the loopholes. They all are afraid of this guy. He's got a car lot next door. He's backed off a little while the hearings. We just went through 2 hearings, which I protested Judge Ragland's thing. Ragland ignored every civil right, every due process. He ignored the fact that the sheriff's deputies put a firewall around this guy, so we couldn't even press charges against him or get equal due process, equal protection under the law. Not at all. Then he came out with his final decision the other day. And he said the most stupid thing. He said, well, I think I left this in place to be irreparable harm. Well, no one has ever pulled a gun on these people. No one's ever threatened them with any harm. No one's ever done anything to him. Ragland wanted to protect his, what do you call it, the insiders here, his buddies. He put up a firewall because he knew I wanted to bring charges against this neighbor for his 2 attacks, which should have been aggravated assault, and to get protection on the other things. And he killed everything intentionally to make me look like the bad guy. He left a target on my back here, and there never was a case. He invented a case that did not exist. He took a guy's word that had no recordings. They had no evidence except a couple that I even said these things. There's no evidence of any kind to support it, except the people that I'm bringing charges against, which is the most common form of people bringing restraining orders, is not only to go after somebody who's harassing them, it's to stop people from charging them, from going after them legally. And that's what Ragland backed. Everything we did was no good. Everything this guy, and he treated him like bringing your kid to work school, give him a little coloring book to bring legal actions against us or to write his little thoughts down. He treated the predator like the victim, and he treated us, the victims, as a predator. Crisscross. It's an Alfred Hitchcock. He changed the whole thing backwards, and he breathed life into a meaningless case. There's not one episode of any effect whatsoever where he was harassed. That guy even tried to call my girlfriend, harassing him. Never wrote anything. It's for complaining about almost being killed, for objecting to being almost murdered. That's what she was. So I know I've taken some time, but you've got a bad judge here. Now, I'll tell you, it's not a hard judge. It's not a hanging judge. It's not a tough judge. This guy is corrupt. I already submitted to the Commission on Judicial Conduct in Phoenix a complaint on him the other day. I also went for reconsideration at this court, which would probably be a waste of time if they're two of the same, I don't know. But you've got a bad judge here, and you've got to look into him, and you probably should suspend him, I think, until there's an investigation, because it's all in black and white. I can prove every word of it, that he's crooked. This is a dirty judge.
All right, thank you. There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of frustration on your part there. I wanted to give you some time. I felt like you were getting
No, I appreciate the extra
wrapping
time.
it up.
I don't want to tell you what it's like to have a bad judge, but I mean this is a bad dude. He is a criminal. And he's more than that. It's everything he said was a lie. He tried to make himself look like he's trying some diligence by taking a little note or asking me for my real estate license to see if this would hurt that. Like he cares. He don't care. He was after me. This is an LPAG he put on me. It says I was threatened, and he never says I threatened to shoot anybody. Those could be normal questions. You guys want to shut it, you do some bad behavior somewhere else other than me would probably want to hurt you. If you guys came back to your house and your wife was in a room and you had a car outside there asphyxiating her intentionally, revving an engine up to those cars have those, there's people in this room where that guy wouldn't walk out with all his limbs intact. Or out in the street here. You go to Safford, you go to these people, no one would stand for it. I didn't do anything except go through legal means to try to challenge this, and all I did was get nailed by a corrupt judge. That's all that's happened here. So maybe you can look to see if you can overturn that and get that thing dismissed with prejudice, the way it should be. Because the sheriff should know that a couple of his guys, and I like cops. I'm on the Benevolent Association. I support cops. But when they go out and they're blocking me from the same protection under the law or the same ability for due process, that's a whole different, you can't win that one. So I think he should go.
Okay, I think thank you.
All right, thanks for the time.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else signed in to speak or would like to speak? All right. Not seeing or hearing anyone else, we are adjourned. We have a work session immediately following regarding health, highways, parks, engineering, planning, and zoning. We discussed roadways and construction, maintenance projects, and things like that. We also have a work session at a time certain at 1:30 with the BLM that we meet with quarterly. All right, with that, we're adjourned. Thank you.